Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to day 16 of the Krishna Katha. Happy Dwadashi to all who have been fasting yesterday for Ekadashi. Yesterday we read about the first birth ceremony of Krishna in Nandagaon by Nanda and Yashoda Maya and the rest of the Brajvasis, and how they did the Abhishek for Krishna, how they welcomed and gave huge amount of charities to the Brahmanas. And that was, I think, the start of the Krishna Janma Maha Mahotsava, as we celebrate every year on the Janmashtami day in our temples around the world. This is one celebration which is observed by almost everyone of the Indian descent. Okay, let's begin our katha. One day shortly after the ceremony, when Mother Yashoda was patting her baby on her lap, the baby felt too heavy, and being unable to carry him, she unwillingly placed him on the ground. After a while, she became engaged in household affairs. At that time, a servant of Kamsa's, known as Trnavarta, as instructed by Kamsa, appeared there in the shape of a whirlwind. He picked up the child upon his shoulders and raised a great dust storm all over Vrindavan, covering everyone's eyes. Within a few moments, the whole area of Vrindavan became so densely dark that no one could see himself or anyone else. During this great catastrophe, Mother Yashoda could not see her baby, who had been taken away by the whirlwind, and she began to cry very piteously. She fell down on the ground exactly like a cow who has just lost her calf. When Mother Yashoda was so piteously crying, all the cowherd women immediately came and began to look for the baby, but they were disappointed and could not find him. The Trnavarta demon went high into the sky with baby Krishna on his shoulder, but the baby assumed such a weight that suddenly he could not go any further, and he had to stop his whirlwind activities. Baby Krishna made himself heavy and began to weigh down the demon, catching hold of his neck. Trnavarta felt the baby to be as heavy as a big mountain, and he tried to get out of his clutches, but he was unable to do so, and his eyes popped out from their sockets. Crying very fiercely, he fell down to the ground of Vrindavan and died. The demon fell exactly like Tripurasura, who was pierced by the arrows of Lord Shiva. Trnavarta hit a stone slab and his limbs were smashed. His body became visible to all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. When the gopis saw the demon killed and child Krishna very happily playing on his body, they immediately picked Krishna up with great affection. The cowherd men and women became very happy to get back to their beloved child Krishna. At that time, they began to talk about how wonderful it was that the demon had taken away the child to devour him, but could not do so. Instead, he fell down dead. Some of them supported the situation. This is proper because those who are too sinful die from their sinful reactions, and child Krishna is pious, therefore he is safe from all kinds of fearful situations. And we too must have performed great sacrifices in our previous lives, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, giving great wealth in charity, and acting philanthropically for the general welfare of men. Because of such pious activities, the child is safe from all danger. The gopis assembled there spoke among themselves. What sort of austerities and penances we must have undergone in our previous lives. We must have worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, offered different kinds of sacrifices, made charities, and performed many welfare activities for the public, such as growing banyan trees and excavating wells. As a result of these pious activities, we have gotten back our child. Even though he was supposed to be dead, now he has come back to enliven his relatives. After observing such wonderful happenings, Nanda Maharaj began to think of the words of Vasudeva again and again. After this incident, when Yashoda was nursing her child and patting him with great affection, there streamed a profuse supply of milk from her breast, and when she opened the mouth of the child with her fingers, she suddenly saw the universal manifestation within his mouth. She saw within the mouth of Krishna the whole sky, including the luminaries, stars in all directions, the sun, the moon, fire, air, seas, islands, mountains, rivers, forests, and all other movable and immovable entities. When Mother Yashoda saw this, her heart began to throb, and she murmured within herself, "How wonderful this is!" She could not express anything, but simply closed her eyes. She was absorbed in wonderful thoughts. Krishna, showing the universal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even when lying down on the lap of his mother, proves that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whether he is manifested as a child in the lap of his mother or as a charioteer on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The concoction of the impersonalists is that one can become God by meditation or by some artificial material activities, is herewith declared false. God is always God in any condition or status, and the living entities are always the parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality of the Supreme Lord. They can never be equal to the inconceivable supernatural power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 7th chapter of Krishna, the salvation of Trnavarta. Now we begin chapter 8, vision of the universal form. After this incident, Vasudeva asked his family priest Gargamuni to visit the place of Nanda Maharaj in order to astrologically calculate the future life of Krishna. Gargamuni was a great saintly sage who had undergone many austerities and penances and been appointed priest of the Yadu dynasty. When Gargamuni arrived at the home of Nanda Maharaj was very pleased to see him and immediately stood up with folded hands and offered his respectful obeisances. He received Gargamuni and the feeling of one who is worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He offered him a nice sitting place, and when he sat down, Nanda Maharaj offered him a warm reception. Addressing him very politely, he said, "My dear Brahmana, your appearance in a householder's place is only to enlighten. We are always engaged in household affair duties and are forgetting our real duty of self-realization. Your coming to our house is to give us some enlightenment about spiritual life. You have no other purpose in visiting householders. Actually, a saintly person or a Brahman has no business visiting householders who are always busy in the matters of dollars and cents. The only reason saintly persons and Brahmanas go to the place of a householder is to enlighten them. If it is asked, why don't the householders go to the saintly person or a Brahmana or for enlightenment, the answer is that the householders are poor-hearted. Generally, householders think that engaging in family affairs is their prime duty and that self-realization or the enlightenment in spiritual knowledge is secondary. Out of the compassion, only saintly persons and Brahmanas go to the householder's home." Nanda Maharaj addressed Gargamuni as one of the great authorities in astrological science. The foretelling of the astrological science, such as the occurrence of solar or lunar eclipses, are wonderful calculations. And by this particular science, a person can understand the future very clearly. Gargamuni was proficient in this knowledge. By this knowledge, one can understand what his previous activities were that are causing him to enjoy or suffer in this life. Nanda Maharaj also addressed Garg Muni as the best of the Brahmanas. A Brahmana is one who is expert in the knowledge of the Supreme. Without the knowledge of the Supreme Absolute, one cannot be recognized as a Brahmana. The exact word used in this connection is Brahma Vidam, which means those who know the Supreme very well. An expert Brahmana is able to give reformatory facilities to the subcastes, namely the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. The Shudras observe no reformatory performances. The Brahman is considered to be the spiritual master or priest for the Kshatriya and Vaishya. Nanda Maharaj happened to be a Vaishya and accepted Garg Muni as a first-class Brahman. He therefore offered his two foster sons, namely Krishna and Balaram, to him to purify. Nanda stated that not only these boys but all human beings just after birth should accept a qualified Brahmana as a spiritual master. Upon this request, Garg Muni replied, Vasudev has sent me to see the reformatory performances of these boys, especially Krishna's, but if I do so, it may incidentally appear that Krishna is the son of Devaki, since I am Vasudev's family priest. By his astrological calculation, Garg Muni could understand that Krishna was the son of Devaki, which Nanda did not know. Indirectly, Garg Muni said that Krishna and Balaram were both sons of Vasudev. Balaram was known as the son of Vasudev because his mother Rohini was present there. But Nanda Maharaj did not know about Krishna. Garg Muni indirectly disclosed the fact that Krishna was the son of Devaki. Garg Muni also warned Nanda Maharaj that if he would perform the reformatory ceremony, then Kamsa, who was naturally very sinful, would understand that Krishna was the son of Devaki and Vasudev. According to the astrological calculation, Devaki could not have a female child, although everyone thought that the eighth child of Devaki was a female. In this way, Garg Muni intimated to Nanda Maharaj that female child was born of Yashoda and that Krishna was born of Devaki, and they were exchanged. The female child, or Durga, also informed Kamsa that the child who would kill him was already born somewhere else. Garg Muni stated, if I give your child a name and he fulfills the prophecy of female child to Kamsa, then it may be that the sinful demon will come and kill this child also after the name-giving ceremony. But I do not want to become responsible for all these future calamities. On hearing the words of Garg Muni, Nanda Maharaj said, if there is such a danger, then it is better not to plan any gorgeous name-giving ceremony. It would be better for you to simply chant the Vedic hymns and perform the purificatory process. We belong to the twice-born caste and I am taking the opportunity of your presence. So please perform the name-giving ceremony without external pomp. Nanda Maharaj wanted to keep the name-giving ceremony a secret and yet take advantage of Garg Muni performing the ceremony. When Garg Muni was so eagerly requested by Nanda Maharaj, he performed the name-giving ceremony as secretly as possible in the cowshed of Nanda Maharaj. He informed Nanda Maharaj that the son of Rohini would be very pleasing to his family members and the relatives, and therefore he would be called Rama. In future, he would be extraordinarily strong and therefore he would be called Baladev or Balaram. Garg Muni said further, because your family and the family of the Yadus are so intimately connected and attracted, his name will also be Sankarshan. This means that Garg Muni awarded 3 names to the son of Rohini, namely Balaram, Sankarshan and Baladeva. But he carefully did not disclose the fact that subsequently, Balaram also appeared in the womb of Devaki and was subsequently transferred to the womb of Rohini. Krishna and Balaram are real brothers, being originally sons of Devaki. Garg Muni then informed Nanda Maharaj, as far as your son is concerned, the child has taken different bodily complexions in different yugas or the millennia. First of all, he assumed the color white, then the color red, and then the color yellow, and now he has assumed the color black. Besides that, he was formerly the son of Vasudev, therefore his name should be Vasudev as well as Krishna. Some people will call him Krishna and some will call him Vasudev. But one thing you must know, this son has had many other names and activities due to his different pastimes. So we shall continue from here onwards tomorrow with our Krishna Katha. Being Dwadashi, you can see the book cover of the Hare Krishna book of vegetarian cooking by Adhiraj Dasa Prabhu. And we can make some nice bhoga of some grain prasada, bhoga offering, and take it as a prasada later on. Because yesterday was our grain-free day, and next Ekadashi is going to be the Nirjala Ekadashi. So I hope run up to that we all will start drinking water and other fluids nicely, so we have a good stamina for that day. It's easier for us living in this country in the northern hemisphere. I can imagine it's really tough in the subcontinent and the warmer tropical countries. But anyway, as Prabhupada has told us to fast according to the health, the time, the place, and other circumstances. So this Krishna conscious life is not a race, it's a marathon. We've been running for many years, and let's hope that in this lifetime we get some more closer to Supreme Personality of Godhead and keep practicing serving Him in this life so that we can go and be His servitors always in His abode, Golok, Vrindavan. Hare Krishna.